Welcome back to Poor Boys RC, everybody. Guys, check out my RC10 4-wheel drive. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of this? The color combo, I think, looks really, really cool. Obviously, I went far, far away from box art. A little bit of white on the back there. We got the neon wing going on. But overall, guys, I am really happy with how it looks. But this was one of the biggest pain in the butt builds I have ever partaken in my entire RC career, my RC life. Now, I'm not here to beat up on Team Associated, but this build sucked. And I'm gonna go through it with you guys and tell you why. In today's video, we're gonna take this guy out for a little spin. I haven't driven it outside yet, so it's gonna be a real-time experience with you guys. And at the same time, I wanted to talk about the pain points putting this thing together, because this was definitely one of the most miserable builds I've ever had in my RC life.
Excellent!
I love that Team Associated gave us this car. I want to start off by saying that too. A lot of us, myself included, never even knew that there was a prototype 4-wheel drive RC10, and we certainly had no idea that we'd ever have one in our own collections. So for that, I'm very, very grateful. But what really frustrated me about building this thing is that I'm on day 3 of putting this thing together, and I still don't think it's done right. I've gone through the transmission, I've gone through the body posts, I've gone through the shims, I've gone through the dog bones more times than I care to have done. I'm done working on it. I'm gonna go drive it and pray to the RC gods that it actually works. Those are words you should never speak when you spend almost $700 on an RC car. That's just a kit, mind you. You still have to add your motor, pinion gear, battery, receiver, steering servo, paint, you name it. That's a big price tag for something that isn't gonna work. Step number 1, guys, make sure you have a good set of tools that are standard, not metric. Team Associated, if you're watching this, please go to metric hardware. The entire RC world is on metric hardware. Team Associated, I get it. You're an American company. You're sticking to standard. I get it. But maybe it's time to reevaluate that and switch over to metric like everyone else. Reason is you get a bunch of these little Allen keys in the kit, and look how small some of these Allen keys are. Now, I do have a set of standard drivers here. They work just fine. But there's this one tiny little, tiny little Allen key that you're gonna have to use in this build. And the kit doesn't come with a standard size T-wrench. All of our T-wrenches are metric. It would also be a good idea to get a power driver like this one. You've got some long screws that are going into the white plastics of this thing, and it's nice to have some power sometimes. Something to consider as well. If you are gonna use one of these, though, don't tighten your screw all the way using power. Get it in 90% of the way, then hand tighten the rest so you don't strip out the white plastic. So my next piece of advice to you guys that are building this kit would be to really take your time. Don't think you're gonna pound this out in a day. You're not going to. This one just takes longer. So take your time, read over the manual, read over the steps 2 or 3 times. You can see almost right away that we're using these ball studs, and there's both a 6mm length and an 8mm length ball stud. It'd be really easy to get that mixed up if you're not paying close attention. And why we're measuring screw length in millimeters, everything else is in standard. Make it stop. Another couple tips before we dive deeper into the manual is your battery tray is an unusual size. It's 132mm long and 45mm wide. So basically like a standard LiPo isn't gonna fit in there. A shorty pack will, but it's a little too short. I have seen some guys manage to wedge in like a 6-cell nickel metal hydride, but having to like remove one of the battery tray holder things. It's just a very weird size. Most 2S LiPos these days are in that like 5,000 milliamp range, so they're quite a bit larger and they're just not gonna fit. And the final sort of setup tip, if you will, is the steering geometry in this is actually quite impressive. And right away when I got my steering servo and everything set up, my radio set up, I noticed that I had a ton of steering throw, way more than I need. I dialed my steering endpoints down to, I believe, 40%. So keep that in mind if you go to build yours, because the steering servo will turn so far over it actually hits the side of the chassis, and you might strip out a servo gear or something like that. You don't want to cause damage before you even get the thing out for a first run. So next we got to talk about the belt tensioner. Oh yeah, and this body, I mean, I cut this thing out according to the factory cut lines and everything, and for the life of me, I just can't get it to fit. The front shock towers are leaned in a lot more than a standard RC10 is, so I had to do a lot of trimming up here to get that to fit. I also had to do some extra trimming here just to get everything to fit over the rear suspension. In doing that, I caused a little bit of damage to my fresh paint job, which got me a little bit irritated. So this arm right here is your belt tensioner. And this arm right here is a belt guide. You can access this belt tensioner and this guide through this screw. You have to take this tire off, you take this screw out, you can get in here. Now the manual doesn't tell you how tight or how loose you want your belt. It's basically to say make sure there's no binding. So I don't know if this is adjusted properly or not. I hope it is. But one thing you can remember, guys, is that when you're assembling this, make sure this guide is staying up. I have seen some people that have this guide down, and what this guide is intended to do is to keep the belt on the pulley. So remember, this side's the guide and this side is your actual pulley adjustment lever. And while you're putting this all together, another thing to make note of is this grub screw that holds this plastic retainer ring on. This grub screw goes all the way through this white plastic, through more plastic, and positions itself on a flat spot on a metal outdrive. You can strip this pretty easily, so just be careful when you're putting these grub screws in. Next thing we got to talk about is shimming your diffs. Now, in the manual, you are not going to see anything in here about shimming diffs. However, when you open up your box, you're going to have a supplementary bag with a QR code on it, and it's going to have a bunch of different shims in there. So you can go on there, you can scan that video, scan that QR code, takes you to a video and shows you how to shim. Now, I've seen videos where some guys say their diffs fit nice, other guys say they didn't fit nice. I'll tell you with mine, even after I shimmed, I still have quite a bit of side-to-side play in my diff. So keep that in mind when you start building your differentials. Throw some shims in there and get it to fit nice and snug. Bag C step 4. I made a note here, silver, not black. So this silver pin is what you want to use when you're assembling your CVDs. There's also a black roll pin that comes out in this bag, and that's going to be used later on. Also, when trying to screw into some of these white plastic parts, it's tough to get the thread started, especially if you don't have standard drivers and you're using an Allen key. It's virtually impossible. I made a note here, use a body reamer. It'll definitely help. A body reamer will just open up that hole at the top just a little bit, help seat that screw. So when you screw it in, it goes in really nice and straight. With both your rear and front body mounts, the front, I think they say to use 3 washers, and the back here, they say to use 2. Either way, the body mount is not high enough. So on mine right there, you can see I actually used a Tamiya bushing right there at the very bottom. You can see that bushing moving around, and 1 washer. Same in the front. It's gonna be really tough to see there, guys, but right in there, you can see I've got 2 washers plus the Tamiya plastic bushing. And even with those bushings, my body posts still aren't quite high enough. The front one, I don't even know. It just doesn't work. Now moving on to when you're gonna be building your turnbuckles. I'm used to having my Tamiya catalog where you've got the legend on the side and you hold the part up and it's a 1-to-1 scale and you hold it and that's the right one. That is not the case in this manual. So do not use the image as a 1-to-1 representation of the part that you want to use. They've got the measurements here again in millimeters for whatever reason, 38 millimeter, 48 millimeter, and a 33 millimeter. So I took out my digital caliper and I measured the turnbuckles because this 38 millimeter, the image is actually a lot larger than 38, and I put the larger one on top and I thought that was that and I made a mistake. So just pay attention when you're assembling your turnbuckles, make sure you have the right size. Next, this kit doesn't come with a motor. So I put in a Holmes Hobbies Retro Sport, a 17 turn Retro Sport, but the kit also doesn't come with a pinion, and that really does bug me quite a bit. Why would you not include a pinion? I put a 27 tooth on there. Am I overgeared? Am I undergeared? I have no idea. I'm gonna say I'm probably slightly overgeared, and I'm just basing that on the fact that my motor is pretty much all the way back on the adjustment slot here on the motor mount. Why they wouldn't include a gear ratio chart or a pinion just to get us started. Just a conservatively geared pinion. You know what I mean? $670 RC kit. I get it. It's a race buggy, whatever, but give us a opinion, please, so we have a starting point. And then on top of that, some of you guys in the RC10 Facebook group probably noticed a post that I put up where I had a wobbly spur gear. Apparently, a lot of people have had this problem. A lot of guys gave a lot of great solutions. Some people say you just got to take it all apart and assemble it just so, and it'll go into place perfectly. Make sure your slipper pads are on correctly, 100%. I did that every time. I also heard a few people say that the spur gears just aren't molded correctly. They've got a bit of a wobble to them. Heat it up, put it on a flat surface with like a cast iron pan or something on top of it to have it lay straight and true. What? I've got to heat up my spur gear to get it to lay flat? That is absolute insanity if you ask me. For a $700 RC car, I don't get a straight spur gear? Guys, you got to fix this stuff. It's nuts. I messed with it for, I'm not kidding, probably 3 hours, taking everything apart. And guys, look behind me. I've built over 100 and something RC cars in my day. I'm not new to this. Something just isn't right. I got it pretty straight, but it's not perfect. So make sure you check yours before you hook your motor up to it and possibly go outside for a run and explode a spur gear in the first 5 seconds. That would suck. Look at this note. So ugly. Dude, what is with these wheel nuts? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. Adam from Adam's Playground said it best. He's like, it looks like, off a hardware shelf from Home Depot or something. And dude, you're totally right. And the worst part is that they're not like, it's not like a lock nut. Like most M4 wheel nuts or M5 are lock nuts. This isn't a lock nut. So if you over tighten it, everything starts to bind up. So it's, what are you thinking? So, I put some Loctite on there to act as a lock nut type of a thing. I don't know. They're so ugly. They're so ugly. And then I had the idea, oh, hang on. It's an RC10. They give you those really cool tri-spoke plastic wheel nuts you can put on. I'll use those. But look, they come in 2 different sizes. I can put 2 on, but I can't put all 4 on because 2 of them are way too small. Why are you giving us parts that don't fit, Team Associated? Honestly, why are you giving us parts that don't fit? It's infuriating. Then this one really got me. Wheels, tires, and body. Bag J step 6. Painting your driver. See my note there? Didn't get one. Are you supposed to get a driver? I mean, I just didn't get a driver. Did you guys get a driver? Let me know in the comments below if you got a driver, because I didn't get a driver. I was really excited to have a driver. Like, I wanted to put a driver in this. There's decals on the decal sheet for a driver. I didn't get a driver. Did you get a driver? Let me know if you got a driver, because I didn't get a driver. At the end there, missing. Just missing grub screws. They're not there. They're not in the bag. Don't have them. What else can I rant about with you, you bloody thing? I hate you and I love you at the same time. Oh, how about the falling out dog bones? Again, Team Associated, you made a video explaining that the dog bones are falling out because people aren't setting up their shocks correctly. That isn't entirely accurate. Knowing that the dog bones fall out, when I set up my rear shocks, I believe they say to use 4 spacers. I actually put in a 5th spacer. I believe it was Razor RC that said he did that. So I did that as well. And they also say if you position your rear shock all the way in, that'll help reduce a stroke and therefore keep your dog bones in. Well, with the shocks all the way in, you can't get the body on. You have to do some pretty major cutting around the body to make it fit, which is why I had to move mine out. With the 5th spacer on the inside of my shocks, my dog bones still fell out. So back to my homeboy Adam from Adam's Playground. He suggested something totally brilliant. You see that blue washer right there, that blue spacer right there? In the manual, they tell you to have that spacer on the outside of the wheel hub. He put it on the inside, thus pushing his dog bone in. That's what I did, and it seems to have worked with a few other washers in there as well. So shout out to Adam for that fix. Thanks, brother. I was sending him some very frustrated text messages the other day trying to put this thing together, and we had a good laugh because it's a hot mess. This buggy is a hot mess. I love it. Thank you, Team Associated, for putting it out. But guys, you really got to do your R&D. Like, I love that you guys are putting out these kits, and we're going to keep buying them, but you got to tighten things up a little bit. Like, it's so sloppy. The instruction manuals stink. Falling out dog bones and having to hack bodies up to make things fit, and they still don't fit. Shimming the heck out of everything because nothing fits right in the first place. It's just not a good look. Listen, we'll keep buying these. We love them. Keep making them. We'll keep buying them, but slow down. We don't need a new one every month that doesn't work right. You're going to give yourself a bad name doing this, okay? So just take it easy. Slow them down. Fix them up. A lot of you guys that know this channel and know my philosophy on RC is it has to work out of the box. If it doesn't work right out of the box, that's a failed product in my opinion. This requires way too much monkeying around to be considered a successful kit to me, a successful release. In fact, yesterday I was so frustrated after 3 days of building and tweaking and modifying and burning up ESCs and burning up things because things just didn't fit right. I said to myself, I'm not going to run it. I'm probably just going to sell it. Maybe I'll throw it on the shelf. You know what? I've seen so many videos of people driving theirs and saying, oh, it's so great. I need to prove that. I need to see it for myself. I need to see, is it actually great or not? I don't want to go bash the heck out of it or anything like that. I do want to keep it as mint as possible, but I do need to know what it's going to be like to drive it. Speaking of driving it, guys, we're almost there. So a couple last things to touch base on. I put in a Hobbywing 1060 ESC, brushed, as you can tell. Again, Holmes Hobbies, Retro Sport motor, 17 turn. Here you can see my Gens Ace. I think this is a 4200 milliamp shorty, and you can see how that fits in there, guys. It's just kind of, I don't know. I don't like it. There's these little kind of swivel arms here, and that kind of holds the battery in place, which, I don't know, on a hard hit, those are going to come loose, and I don't know. It's not good. I'm rocking the Radio Link R7 FG receiver on my RC8X transmitter, which I absolutely love. And just a servo that I had, it's a 40 kg, way overkill for something like this. It's actually not very fast and it's extremely torquey, the exact opposite of what you want in a buggy like this, but it's just what I had on the shelf, so I used it. Now, some of the good points about this kit, guys, the wheel and tire combination, I actually do really, really love it. They fit really well as well. I love the vintage spike design. Good job there. The turnbuckles, I'm just really happy to see that they went away from a lot of that white plastic and they went to these gray plastic ones. These are just beefier. They're much easier to adjust with this big knuckle here in the middle. And this gray plastic is just way easier on the thumbs when you're threading everything. And I think it actually performs a little bit better as well in terms of just having less gap and less slop. The suspension is really nice and smooth. Range of motion is really nice. Everything works well that way. Again, I wanted to have my shocks angled in a little bit more, but I just couldn't. I was having too much of a hard time with the body, getting the body to fit, and the amount of trimming I'd have to do. I just didn't want to hack it up anymore, so I put them on the outside. I think the multicolored shocks were kind of a weird choice. Like having the gold cap and kind of this gunmetal body, I don't know, it's okay. It's not my favorite. I don't love it. Looks almost like kind of a mishmash, like a hodgepodge of like parts bin pieces. Same with the front springs being blue. I think it just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It just doesn't really, there's no continuity. And you know, when I go to put my body on now that I can get it on without like completely damaging it, like my front body post, like that's kind of where the body wants to sit naturally. Like that body post just doesn't work. And if I really press it down, well, there's a transmission there now. So you don't have, like in a normal two-wheel drive RC10, there's no front transmission. So you can kind of push the body down and make it work. I would be embarrassed if I put this to market. This is not a completed product. This was an awesome project that they rushed, did not perfect, and I think it looks really bad on Team Associated, to be totally honest. In fact, the RC10 inspired 6x6 semi-truck was announced this week as well. The moment I saw it, I reached out to my local hobby guys right away and said, I want one. I don't want one now. I'm pumping the brakes on it. I don't even know if it's gonna work. These kits are not cheap. So do you wanna spend all your money on this thing and have it not work? Not me. I don't have endless funds. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Let's take this thing out and see what it does. I can hear it takes a minute for it to spool up with that bigger pinion in there. So just trying to get a feel for it here, guys, and I don't want to get it all scratched up and stuff either. Initial impression is it works. There's that. It's a good start. I was so scared I was going to get it out here and it just wasn't going to work for whatever reason. The belt drive sounds really nice and smooth, to be fair. The diffs sound and feel smooth, everything feels good. Just that handling. Let's get on the high grip surface here. What do our motor temps feel like off the bat here? Yeah, the motor's getting warm. That's a lot of full speed running. So I'm gonna say with that 27 tooth pinion, it might be a little bit much. One thing about it, one real nice positive about this kit is this suspension works really well. Beautiful suspension. Soars through the air nicely. Beautiful suspension. I'll give it that. I gotta say that color scheme's working for me. I really dig it. I know not everyone's gonna like it, but I sure do. Look at that pink wing pop. Let's see how she handles the rough stuff here, guys. If you're just tuning in, we're running a Holmes Hobbies Retro Sport 17 turn brushed motor paired to a Hobby Wing 1060 ESC, my trusty Radiolink RC8X, and a 4200 milliamp Gens Ace Shorty LiPo 2S. In all the promo videos, they kept going on about how this car was meant to be driven. And I gotta, I gotta be honest, guys, putting it together, I didn't think it was meant to be driven. It just didn't feel like anything was working right. The whole put together process just fought me, and it fought a lot of us the whole time. But out here driving it, it feels good. I'm gonna, speak it the truth. And yeah, it does feel good. They did a brilliant job with the suspension on it. In the supplementary video that Team Associated put out, when they were talking about the diff cups and the dog bones popping out and that kind of stuff, they said how the front, they changed the springs to these blue springs because the front end would dive a lot through the turns. I find, if anything, I think the front might, to me, it feels a little bit stiff. But I'm also not a racer on a racetrack. I'm just a dude in his backyard ripping around an oval track. That's it for today, guys. We have hit the lipo cutoff. So I want to give some final thoughts on this kit because I beat it up hard at the start of this video, and it was deserved. Honestly, it was deserved. It's still not quite complete. For what you pay, I think AE could have done a better job with this release. Just slow down on the releases. We love you. We're gonna support you. Thank you so much for putting these out and making them available for us, but slow down so you don't put out a subpar product. And at the same time, it gives our wallets a chance to recuperate because these things aren't cheap. By the time you put your motor and all your electronics in, you're $800–900 into one of these, Canadian. And if Associated is gonna drop one every 2 months, well, that's a lot. So just pace the releases a little bit, guys. That'd be good. Despite all the design flaws, this thing is a real joy to drive. I will say that. Now, I've only driven it for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like you saw, and that's all I'm gonna drive it for because I want that bad boy to look good on my shelf for years to come. If I had it in the budget, I'd buy another one just to run it and really get to know it well, but it's just not in the budget. The RC10 4-wheel drive handled beautifully. I'll give it that. It looks awesome, and I'm really happy that we had the opportunity to drive one and enjoy one in our lifetimes. I think it's a special buggy that any collector would want to have in their collection. Just be prepared for the headaches during assembly is all I'm saying. What do you guys think? Is Associated dropping these things too fast? Not fast enough? And are you guys going to be getting an RC10 4-wheel drive? If so, let me know in the comments below. I think I said it earlier in this video, after seeing how this one went together, I think I'm going to pump the brakes on the 6x6 that's coming out soon because I just fear that it's going to be the same kind of mishmash of parts and maybe not drive the best. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, that would mean the world to me. Make sure you stop by every Saturday for new content. We've got Vlog Mondays, something new we're trying out, so check that out. I'd really appreciate it if you did. And of course, our midweek roll, we'll throw something else in there, keep you guys entertained during the week. Thank you all so much for watching Poor Boys RC. Until next time, be excellent to each other.